gonna show you now a very simple multiplication method. Let's say we want to multiply 4 by 4. I know it's very easy, but it's just to demonstrate my method. Now think with me. Multiplying 4 by 4 is the same as multiplying half of 4 by the double of 4. This applies to any numbers. So now we have 2 times 8, which is the same as 4 times 4. Again, multiplying 2 by 8 is the same as multiplying 1 by 16. So this is basically the objective of my method. We have to get 1 because 1 multiplied by anything is equal to that anything. Well, in this particular case, our answer is of course 16. Some of you might be wondering how useful this can be. It turns out that since we don't use the binary system for our everyday lives, this is kind of very useful. Take for example 12 times 32. We humans are rational beings. Well, at least some of us. We can almost instantly know that half of 12 is 6 and double of 32 is 64. Using 6 instead of 12 is simpler because in our decimal system the value 6 is represented by 1 digit, while the value 12 is represented by 2 digits. We can go on, but because 12 is not a power of 2, we will eventually get an odd number. In order to continue using my method, we have to keep in mind the concept of multiplications. A times B is equal to B plus B plus B plus B 8 times. In this case, A equals 3 and B equals 128. If we group A minus 1 sums of B, we get this. Logically, an odd number minus 1 is always going to be an even number, so we can continue using this method. So let's take the half of 2 and the double of 128. And there it is. We got our 1. But let's not forget that we have to sum that 128 that we left behind. The answer is 384 and not 256. Okay, so let's try bigger values. 81 times 205. This one is going to be huge, so let's firstly organize all of this. I recommend writing down the values you're going to multiply and then draw lines like this. Just make sure to put the lowest number on the left, otherwise it's going to take more steps. See how unlucky we are. 81 is an odd number. But do not worry. Repeat the line exactly as it was, changing 81 to 80. Okay, so now we have two multiplications, and we know they're not equal. But if we add 205 to the second one, those expressions become equal. There comes the method. Divide the first value by 2 and multiply the second one by 2. You can do this mentally. Well, keep doing this until you get 1 or another odd number. In this case we got 5. Turn the 5 into 4, doing exactly the same thing you have done before. You know, just remember to rewrite the second value in the third column when you do this. Now that we have 4, we can keep doing that. See, we got 1. Be careful here though. That does not mean our answer is 13,120. We have to add those two values that we left behind in those odd-even transformations. So the final answer is gonna be 16,605. Believe me, even though it does not seem to be, this whole process is much faster than the normal calculations. But is there a way to improve this method? The answer is obviously yes. Take this number, multiply it by that number. Try to face them as quantities of something, the values that they represent, not just symbols. If we were using another numerical system, this would be much more difficult, but because we are using the decimal system, this is easy. As an expansion of my method, you can use any number instead of 2, so let's use 10. In our current numerical system, if you want to multiply a value by 10, just add a 0 to it. That's one of the reasons it's called base 10. And in order to divide by 10, if a number ends with the 0, just remove it. That tells us that we can move zeros around in a multiplication, and the result is always going to be the same. Moving all the zeros, we get a result, which is, I'm sorry, but I can't pronunciate it, but you know. Back to the previous multiplication, we have a 10 right there. If we divide the 10 by 10, which is 1, and multiply 1640 by 10, we get this. As you can see, the final answer is the same. But hey, look at that 80. You could divide it by 10 and multiply 205 by 10. Find your way. So that's basically it. Thanks for watching and have fun.